Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, in the studio. Happy Cinco de Mayo, my friend. What kind of margarita are you getting tonight?
There'll probably be a half of one.
A halfy? Are you going to get
we'll
a straight
stick
up?
with the Irish whiskey is what we'll stick with.
An Irish whiskey margarita.
Absolutely. Even on Cinco de Mayo, that's the same thing. Yeah.
On the rocks, or you get it the slush?
No, on the rocks.
You on the rocks. All right. So while you sip your margarita, what special hat are you going to be wearing this weekend?
I don't wear hats.
You don't know? No. You don't have anything picked out? No. Nothing for the Derby?
What you see is just gray hair on top.
So, good. Well, not good news for him, but the trainer out in Kentucky, he is gone.
He is, and all his horses are, and this is a really interesting circumstance, too. The guy's name is Safi Joseph. He's from the Virgin Islands, and he is a veteran trainer, but he has been suspended, and his one horse, Lord Miles, which was in the race, has been expelled, so to speak. And it's not because they've done anything wrong. It's because Churchill Downs Board of Directors and Board of Etiquette and so forth has no answer as to why two of his horses died this week. Died after having finished workouts in one case and a race in the other. It just simply does not make any sense at all. There's no way this can happen. As Mr. Joseph said yesterday, it's a 1 in a trillion circumstance, but because there is no answer, he has been suspended and his horses have been all banned from the race. Now, having said that, that still leaves a field of 20. But if there's another scratch, and it would have to occur today by 9 a.m., that's Eastern Time, 8 a.m. our time, that's the only other way a new horse could be entered. Otherwise, the field of 20 remains intact. 40 is the top choice, 3-1. Erod Ortiz will be in the saddle for that one. Tappet Trice is 5-1. And Angel of Empire is 8-1. That's when they'll go to the post tomorrow, probably a little after 6 o'clock our time here. And that's when they'll run for the roses, the Kentucky Derby.
So if you were a betting man, and God knows you're not, where would you be putting your chocolate chips on?
Well, I'd go for the biggest choice of all, which is about an 80-1 shot, because that's what won last year.
Really?
So you never know. It's unlikely. I don't even know who that horse is, but I'd look at the odds and see what it is.
Yeah, well, in other good news, the Kansas City Chiefs keeps having the depth on their offensive line to protect Patrick Mahomes, and I think this one they got this week was a pretty good pick.
Well, he's an 8-year veteran. Donovan Smith's been around, big kid out of Penn State. He most recently was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he is big. I wonder a little bit about his validity on the offensive line. He's obviously signed a 1-year contract as a depth player, somebody who's going to come in off the bench. But, in all honesty, Mike, he has to go through training camp as well, and he was cut by the Tampa Bay ball club. So his status with the Chiefs is certainly dependent on what he does in free agent camp and so forth and so on. But Donovan Smith did sign that 1-year contract, and he does have some merit to him. Penn State, you're a very good offensive lineman if you played at Penn State.
Oh, yeah, you are. That's kind of one of the biggest in the country, in my opinion. Last but not least, for those of us who do like hockey and actually have a team left in the fight, which I don't know how you could, but if you do, who's winning in the playoffs?
Well, it isn't the St. Louis Blues because they aren't there.
They're not.
Florida Panthers knocked off the Toronto Maple Leafs last night, and Florida leads that series 2-0, and both those games were in Toronto. And the Dallas Stars turned things around on the Seattle Kraken, and the Dallas Stars and Seattle Kraken are now tied at a game apiece.
You know what? It's hard to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals with a smile on your face, especially after games like yesterday.
Well, when the other team scored, and the other team was the Angels in this case, scores 6 runs in the third inning and puts the game out of reach. Now, I will say the Cardinals did show some signs of life. They did come back in the game, not to a point where they were threatening, but to within a point where they had a chance. 11-7 was the final. The Los Angeles Angels won it and swept that series, and the Cardinals are now 10 wins, 22 losses. This is their worst start since, well, the last time they were in last place at the end of April was 1988. That's how long ago that's been. And I can't explain it. Now, I do think the Cardinals snap out of it this weekend, maybe sweep the series. The Detroit Tigers are playing in St. Louis, and Detroit is not a very strong team at all. And the fact that the Cardinals are it maybe showing some signs of life. And I say maybe, Mike, because the team's pitching has not been very good. Jack Flaherty yesterday. The Angels scoring 6 runs in the third inning, they were not fluke runs. I mean, they were hitting laser shots all over the ballpark, and Flaherty just simply did not have it. Now, the pitching staff did shut out the Angels the rest of the game, but by then it was already 11-2. Cardinals did score 6 runs after that. 5 runs after that, I should say. 11-7 was the final score, but still a loss. And that's what's mounting up now. 10-22 on the season. They've got to get well, and I do really think they will this weekend.
I hope so, but man, it kind of makes you think twice about that big payday we gave old Jack a couple of years ago, don't you?
Absolutely, it does.
I think a lot of us are thinking the same thing. All right, please tell me something good with either the Springfield Cardinals or Royals. Either one of those guys get a win?
They did not.
God, Ned, come on.
This is ruining Cinco de Mayo totally, isn't it? Well, the Royals, and the good news is the Royals actually out-hit the Baltimore Orioles yesterday 16-10. Now you're saying, you mean Kansas City had 16 hits and they did not win? That is the case. Baltimore beat them 13-10. Kansas City had the 16 hits, but they couldn't parlay that into enough runs. Pitching again faltered for Kansas City, and the Royals just their slump continued. 16-10, but hey, maybe things will get better, and maybe not. Springfield Cashew Chickens did not play last night. The game was rained out with the Arkansas Travelers, and as of now, I believe they're going to make it up as a doubleheader tomorrow, not tonight.
Oh, perfect day for it. It should be pretty nice weather in the 80s.
In the 80s.
I know you got to smile. I know.
Absolutely. Hey, it cannot get, if it does get warmer, now you find Ned Reynolds in paradise.
Ned's been waiting for this day since last August, and that's why you're in a good mood today. It's not because of the margaritas. Last but not least, who won in the NBA playoffs?
Golden State. They blew the Los Angeles Lakers right out of the ballpark in San Francisco last night, 127-100, and that evens the series at 1 game apiece. So what's the big difference? I'll tell you what it was. In the first game, Anthony Davis, the one-time All-America at Kentucky and a very fine player, almost 7 feet tall and a beast underneath. He was dominant in the first game. Didn't bother to show up last night. They get 11 points and maybe 4 rebounds or something like that. He has to play for the Lakers to do well. It isn't on LeBron James. It's on the big kid Anthony Davis. That's how the Lakers will go. Anyway, the series now moves to Los Angeles. It is 1-1. They split the first 2 games. See what happens from here on in.
Ned, you have a great Cinco de Mayo and an even better weekend, and I will see you on Monday, my guy.